On October 26th, Ukrainian forces conducted two distinct, complex, multi-domain operations against critical Russian military infrastructure. The first operation targeted the strategic Olenya Air Base in the Arctic, a high-value asset sometimes referred to as the 49-ton gold base. The second operation focused on a primary ammunition depot near the Belgorod region. Both missions involved the close integration of air power, armored ground units, and electronic warfare, executed during the pre-dawn hours. Coordinated assault on Olenia Air Base. At approximately 2:17 a.m., a large-scale, synchronized strike began at Olenya Air Base. This facility, situated deep in the Murmansk region, serves as a key strategic point for Russia's northern fleet. It hosts long-range bombers, including the two 160 Blackjack and MiG-31K interceptors, which are the primary platforms for launching Kinzhal hypersonic missiles. The operation's goal was to diminish this strategic bomber capability and disrupt its northern-facing air defense and early warning radar systems. The operation began with a multi-pronged assault. From the northwest, Ukrainian F-16 fighters initiated the attack, reportedly flying at an extremely low altitude of 300 feet to avoid radar detection. Their main objective was the suppression of enemy air defenses, or SEAD. The aircraft deployed decoy pods, which saturated Russian radar displays with static and false targets in an attempt to blind the Nebo-M tracking grid. Simultaneously, two other lines of attack opened. From a concealed position approximately 30 miles away, a HIMARS, High Mobility Artillery Rocket System battery, launched a precision salvo. These M31 rockets, traveling at over Mach 2, targeted the base's primary fuel depots to disable logistics. Concurrently, from the maritime domain, Magura 5 naval drones, which are unmanned surface vessels, advanced, introducing a coastal threat to complement the air and land assault. Russian S-400 air defense batteries activated, launching interceptors at the incoming threats, while MiG-31K interceptors on the runway began to scramble. Their effectiveness, however, was immediately compromised. Ukrainian Escadron electronic warfare drones, positioned at high altitude, initiated intensive jamming aimed at the S-400's engagement radars. Reports indicate the radar feed became unusable, cycling between static and signal loss. The core of the initial strike reportedly occurred within a single minute. Amidst this electronic and kinetic disruption, the F-16S released their payloads. Joint Direct Attack, munition-guided bombs, dropped from 20,000 feet, descended at approximately 700 miles per hour. The first impacts hit the base's maintenance hangars. This triggered a significant chain reaction, with fire spreading through fuel lines and secondary explosions occurring across the flight line, indicating the destruction of ordnance or fueled aircraft. As the base's perimeter defenses were suppressed, the Ukrainian ground assault began. T-72 AMT main battle tanks advanced under the cover of smoke screens, which were deployed by small, low-flying drones. This tactic was intended to mask the tank's thermal signatures from Russian defensive systems. Specialized robotic units led the armored advance. Icebreaker mine-clearing vehicles moved first, creating paths through the base's defensive minefields. They were followed by mechanized infantry squads on all-terrain vehicles, who dismounted and advanced through these cleared corridors. Each soldier was reportedly networked, using tablet displays synced to overhead drones. This allowed them to coordinate their assault via encrypted signals instead of verbal commands. The Russian ground response originated from reinforced shelters. T-62M tanks moved to engage the T-72S. At the same time, Pantsir S one-point defense systems engaged the low-flying Ukrainian drones with 30mm cannon fire. For several minutes, the area was filled with the sounds of tank fire and anti-aircraft cannons, as both sides engaged in conditions of heavy smoke and sensor jamming. The engagement expanded to include air assets. A pair of Ukrainian Mi-24 Pu-1 attack helicopters approached at 200 feet, firing pods of 80mm unguided rockets. The targets were the base's surviving radar masts, and the attack damaged antenna arrays, further degrading the defenders' situational awareness. Reacting to the scale of the assault, Russian long-range aviation was activated. A formation of two 160 Blackjack strategic bombers, operating from a separate auxiliary base, launched a volley of air-launched cruise missiles intended for Ukrainian staging areas. This strategic counterattack was intercepted by a Ukrainian combat air patrol of F-16S, which had been held in reserve. Guided by AWACS data, the fighters moved to engage the bombers. An engagement took place at high altitude, where the F-16S used long-range AIM-120 AMRAAM missiles. Reports suggest that missile locks and a potential hit compelled the two 160S to abort their mission and withdraw, neutralizing the counterstrike. The air engagement concluded over the next 10 minutes. As the direct kinetic engagement decreased, the conflict focused on the electromagnetic spectrum. Russian technicians, reportedly working in underground communication tunnels, attempted to activate their Borisogledsk-2 electronic warfare modules to regain control of the battle space. In response, Ukrainian mobile EW units began targeted jamming, reportedly disrupting the Russian systems. The Escadron drones orbiting overhead broadcast false GPS coordinates and phantom echoes, which simulated non-existent tank columns and aircraft. Russian artillery was subsequently observed firing on empty snowdrifts, apparently misled by this false data. By 3:12 a.m., the base's operational capacity was severely limited. Remaining generators failed, reportedly due to the sustained electronic assault. Russian High Command then authorized the launch of Kinzhal. Tuka-47 is EM-2, air-launched hypersonic missiles from surviving MiG-31Ks. These missiles, traveling at Mach 10, were aimed at high-value Ukrainian command posts. However, the active Ukrainian electronic warfare network reportedly interfered with their terminal guidance systems. The missiles were observed deviating from their course and detonating over the Arctic Sea. With the base's defenses compromised, the final phase of the attack began. The Magura 5 naval drones, after navigating coastal inlets, reportedly transitioned onto the ice shelf and moved inland. They used onboard sensors to locate the remaining electromagnetic signatures from the base's backup antennas. A final salvo from the HIMARS battery struck the central runway, making it inoperable. After this, all Ukrainian ground and air assets commenced a coordinated withdrawal, supported by electronic jamming. In less than 5 hours, the operation against Olenya Air Base concluded. It resulted in the severe degradation of a key Russian strategic airbase, disabling long-range bomber assets and disrupting critical air defense and radar installations in the Murmansk region. The attack demonstrated a high level of coordination between air, ground, maritime, and electronic warfare units. Coordinated strike on Korachansky ammunition depot. As the Olenia operation concluded, another major assault began. At 4:27 a.m., a separate multi-domain operation targeted the Korachansky ammunition depot, located near the border in the Belgorod region. This facility functions as a critical logistics hub, supplying Russian artillery units on the northern front. The stated objective of the operation was to cut this supply line. The assault commenced with a combined air and ground offensive. It utilized a diverse array of assets, including MiG-29, F-16, and Su-27 fighter jets, supported by Leopard 2 main battle tanks, and captured T-90S Russian defenders consisting of T-80 armor, Mistar-S howitzers, and Pantsir-S-1 air defense systems, mobilized to repel the attack. The initial phase involved Ukrainian MiG-29 and F-16 fighters deploying loitering munitions and decoy flares. These were supported by Su-34 fullback tactical bombers, which released standoff glide bombs aimed at the depot's main storage bunkers. Orbital electronic warfare aircraft jammed Russian command frequencies, as reconnaissance drones provided real-time battle damage assessment and designated secondary targets, including T-80 staging pads. Russian Pantsir S-1 batteries engaged the incoming munitions and drones. However, their effectiveness was reportedly limited by the saturation of targets and electronic warfare interference. Russian Su-35 interceptors were dispatched to counter the air assault. Minutes later, the main Ukrainian ground force advanced. This force included Leopard 2 tanks and several captured T-90S, followed by mechanized infantry in M113 armored personnel carriers. A notable component of this assault was the use of robotic systems. Unmanned ground vehicles, described as mine-laying robots, advanced with the armor. They reportedly deployed TM-62 anti-tank mines on flanking routes and potential Russian reinforcement paths to isolate the engagement area. Russian Mr. S 152mm howitzers, positioned several miles away, began counter-battery fire. In response, Ukrainian GPS jamming trucks, located with the assault force, reportedly distorted satellite navigation signals. This action allegedly caused a significant portion of the Russian shells to fall off target. Within the next hour, the air battle over Korachansky intensified as more Russian Su-35 Flanker E interceptors arrived. The Su-35S engaged Ukrainian fighters, firing R-77, AA-12 Adder air-to-air missiles. The Ukrainian F-16 and Su-27 flanker escorts moved to intercept. The engagement reportedly involved tactics using paired hunter decoy teams. In this setup, one aircraft would actively paint Russian jets with radar to draw missile locks, while a second, electronically silent fighter, maneuvered for a countershot. Ukrainian pilots used AIM-120 AMRAAM missiles. Following a sustained engagement, Ukrainian sources claimed 3 Russian Su-35S were downed, allowing them to establish air superiority over the depot. With the air threat reduced, the operation shifted to a methodical subterranean clearance. Specialized combat engineer units, supported by robotic breacher teams and K-9 units, advanced into the depot's central complex. Small, mine-clearing robots equipped with multi-spectrum sensors were deployed to map and neutralize explosive hazards. They were augmented by explosive detection dogs, such as Belgorod Malinois, used to identify non-metallic or deeply buried charges in tunnels reportedly extending 40 feet below ground. After this clearance, engineers placed demolition charges on the main ammunition stockpiles. As the operation neared completion, Russian forces launched a final counterattack. T-80 battalions and Panzer S-1 units moved from concealed positions. This attack was met by counter-battery fire from Ukrainian 155mm self-propelled artillery, guided by the reconnaissance drones still in the area. Leopard 2 tanks maintained their defensive line. After a 40-minute exchange, the Russian assault was repelled. With the counterattack defeated, the final demolition charges were detonated. A series of large synchronized explosions subsequently destroyed the Korachansky depot. The Ukrainian strike force then began its full withdrawal under the cover of smoke and electronic jamming. The destruction of the Korachansky ammunition depot represents a significant disruption to Russian logistics on the northern front. The operation demonstrated a sophisticated combined arms model, integrating heavy armor, robotics, precision air power, and electronic warfare. The loss of this facility signaled the removal of a primary supply node for Russian forces in the region.